What's the crack? Haven't done a car chat in a couple of weeks, so here we are again. Having the opportunity now. I'm going to spend the next 5-10 minutes talking about probably two main topics that have sprung to mind since I've been doing more training here at the local gym. So the first one, this is going to be more targeted towards younger people, but it's an observation in general for people when they start in the gym. Now there is a bit of an age bias here, because basically what I'm getting at over the course of January, I noticed in the local gym here behind me, there's a big cohort of young people, which is obviously brilliant to see. By young people, obviously I mean anyone under the age of like 25. So there's a lot of like teens and early 20s people training. Looks like a lot of them are training for the first time. So I love that, because when I started in the gym, there was no young people. When I started training in general, back when I was doing pro wrestling, the availability or what people wanted out of fitness was very, very sparse. Most people in Ireland thought fitness was going out for a run and playing a field sport, you know, maybe doing a few push-ups in your bedroom on the sly. There was very few people that actually actively went to gyms that young. Most gyms wouldn't allow people under the age of 18 in many cases. So it's cool to see. And then the other cohort is, as you would expect, it's people that are a bit older, usually north of 40, 45, and most of them are training probably for a bit of longevity, you know, the doctor's orders, or, you know, trying to finally lose a spare tire, whatever it is. But what's interesting about it is almost universally you can see trends in how these people train. So the older crowd almost universally spend way too much time doing low intensity cardio, so like walking on the treadmill, doing the Stairmaster, doing the cross trainer, cycling the bike, and then doing a rake of core work, and they do very little of anything else. Then the younger crowd tend to, there's a thing we have in training called majoring in the minor. So you've got your major lifts, which are like your squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, rows, things like that, the big heavy work. And then you got the minor stuff, training forearms, training traps, training biceps. You know, things that are much smaller muscles. They're not going to make up a significantly smaller portion of your overall muscle mass. But you'll tend to see now, and people will say, oh, it's the advent of science-based or evidence-based lifting. Kind of, or that maybe it's a reframe, but this has always been a thing where people will prioritize training their arms over doing anything remotely more difficult in the gym. Now, in saying all this, it's not saying that either of these things by themselves is bad. Doing cardio is very good. You should do it. Training your core directly is great. And doing all these smaller movements are ideal, particularly if you're in bodybuilding or you have an aesthetic goal that you want to bring out. However, both parties are missing massive pieces of the puzzle for both of their respective goals, both in the gym and outside. So in the gym, both parties, whether the older crowd looking for a bit more longevity and increase or improve their overall health outcomes and the quality of their life, or a young person is trying to build muscle mass or a physique, they're missing out on so much by not training the bigger lifts incredibly intensely. Now, that doesn't mean they have to squat with a barbell, because there's always this thing, it's like, oh, Ian, everyone doesn't have to squat with a bar because you fucking powerlifters do. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying train a lower body knee flexion movement incredibly hard, whether that's a hack squat, a belt squat, a leg press. It doesn't matter, so long as you're training it hard. Same with upper body pressing. Like, doing a little bit of pec fly or whatever fucking chest press machine is good, but you're never going to beat like a bench press, the dumbbell bench press, incline dumbbells, something you can really hammer on and push load. The only reason I would give a preface to the barbell is it's the one implement that you can actually load fairly easily. Like with dumbbells, you're always going to be limited to what's available in the gym, and you're always going to be limited by how much you can actually pick up and stabilize. With a bar, you know, you can progress a little more linearly because you can load smaller increments. So I personally think bars are great for that. Same with the squat, same with the deadlift. And then with the deadlift, obviously some kind of hinge, whether it's a back extension, an RDL, fucking whatever, some kind of hinge movement that's gonna like train your posterior. Then you can prop that up with all these other things, like some kind of like dumbbell overhead press, a push press, a strict press, whatever, a military press, and some kind of row, whether it's a heavy barbell row, a pendlay row, a chest supported row machine, and then a vertical pull as well. So you're a chin up, pull up, lat pull down. If you train these and then like maybe throw in dips as well, you've got a pretty robust training regime. And then you can prop that up with the likes of your leg extensions, hamstring curls, pec flies, lateral raises, biceps, triceps. So I mean that for both parties. Then the other big piece many of them are missing is a lot of the younger people I'm seeing in the gym are just teeny tiny little people. Like they're teeny tiny little skinny guys, teeny tiny little skinny girls. So the best thing they could do is start to eat in such a way that promotes muscle growth. Now, obviously, when you're very young, your parents dictate an awful lot of what you eat. So I do understand there's an uphill battle there, but this is just looking at things in the very two-dimensional plane of how they achieve their goals. So a lot of it's probably going to be increasing their calorie intake with high quality foods, bigger carbohydrate intakes pre and post training, upping their protein across the board, finding an adequate amount of fiber for their size and body weight, and then hammering those, and then sleeping like there's no tomorrow. If they do that, then they're going to see the gains. And it's the same for the older crowd. They definitely need to look at the diet. A lot of them are just hammering, like I see a few people going up the stairs there now for a class. A lot of them are hammering classes, hammering cardio and core work because they want to lose the belly. But a lot of them aren't really addressing the diet. Now, these would be the people that would fall more into the category of, oh, I'm doing Atkins, I'm doing keto. They read a diet out of a magazine. They're trying, like, the one guy I remember before genuinely did the carnivore diet that I was chatting to. And, like, people will run so many ridiculous trends with diets. It will really all boil down to this. And there's going to be so many different facets and ways you can look at this, but it really all just does boil down to this. It is going to be calories consumed versus calories output, right? That is the simplest answer. Now, that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. So what should you do? It really depends on the type of dietary requirements you have. If you're somebody like me, for example, I like big portions of food. I like a big plate of food in front of me. I like feeling like I'm eating for more than, 30 seconds. So for me, low calorie, high density foods are going to do me better than something that is low density for the same calories. So for example, I enjoy eating a big plate of potatoes because I'm Irish, but also potatoes per calorie per gram of weight is a much better metric than, say, if I was to do the same with the likes of another less dense calorie. I even find pasta, and it can be like a lot less filling personally. So things like that. So same for these people, they need to kind of identify what it is they need. So basically the easiest thing to do when it comes to that, and you'll hear all this a million, it's not sexy and it's not cool, and it's not a cool, like, here's 5 hacks to get in shape. But it is choosing for, as much as possible, minimally processed whole foods that you have prepared yourself. Now, not everybody's going to be able to do that. And that's not to say there's a problem once in a while with fucking having a bowl of cereal or a protein bar. All these things are fine, right? It's more so like, if your breakfast is like 2 pieces of sourdough bread, you use either a little bit of cheese or butter for a bit of flavor and a couple of eggs, you're probably fine. Now, if you're trying to go much lower calorie, you can obviously opt for a slightly lower calorie bread, maybe bypass on the cheese and the butter and go for some egg whites with maybe 1 whole egg mixed in. There's so many options there, but the point is in both cases, it's probably the diet that's going to hold them back from achieving what they need to achieve more than anything. So these are 2 observations on the likes of cultural trends in the training between younger and older people. People tend to really over prioritize the things that make a difference, but not a pretty nominal difference in terms of what they could be doing for the same or less time investment. So again, majoring in minor 1% changes. And then the other big one then is, with January, you will always see this trend in the gym of people coming in, going hell for leather for the first, usually till around Paddy's Day, and then things die off. I don't know, what have you guys observed in the gym since January? That's been the big one for me. It's also been very busy, which in one way, like, all this I'm saying is brilliant because it's great to see more people training, but it's a fucking melt when you want to get in and do your training. And I know I'm sitting here shy talking in my car instead of going in and doing my training, but it's definitely something I've noticed. Gyms are so much busier this January than I can even remember from when I worked in FlyFit. Now, some of that could have been like post-COVID. Not as many people came back to the gym. But now it really feels like any time I've gone to the gym in the past couple of weeks, it's been fucking jammed. Luckily for me, most of my work's based out of a rack and with a bar, so if I can get those, I can do most of the training. But that's more or less it. I'm kind of just shy talking. I'm very happy to see more people in the gym, and frankly, I would rather see people in the gym doing fuck all and spinning their wheels, because at least they're there, and there's a much greater chance you'll get them into the training that will ultimately get them the results from there than there would be had they just never gone to the gym at all. Everyone can, write the greatest plan or look up the greatest plan, but it's actually actioning it and doing it that's going to get the result. Anyway, that's all for me. I'll stop procrastinating on this session. Hopefully you're all well. And if I can, I'll post a vlog of the behind the scenes stuff at the February Open coming up this weekend. Don't hold me to that though, because I just need to wait and see how many bodies I have so I can actually handle and then get somebody to do a bit of recording. But if I can, I will. Have a good one. Chat to you later.